Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's doing good, staying healthy, and working hard on their classes. Today we're going to talk about drones, either drone rules, and then we're going to go fly the drone later, show you a little bit about how the drone works and the best ways to use it. So first things first, we're going to talk about some rules. The FAA has some strict rules when it comes to drones. So first you got to register your drone, and once you register the drone, they'll give you a registration number, and then you have to put that registration number on the drone, like a license plate basically, and then you're supposed to carry proof of registration with you whenever you fly. Any airspace, you're supposed to fly below 400 feet. 400 feet is your maximum height. You're supposed to obtain authorization before flying in controlled airspaces, which contain Class B airspace, Class C airspace, Class D airspace, and Class E. Class A airspace is all completely legal. Those are your international airports, the big international airports, military bases, government buildings that you're not supposed to fly around, that sort of thing, are going to be most of your Class A airspaces. Another rule is you're supposed to always keep your drone in visual line of sight. So you're supposed to be able to see the drone with your own eyes at all times. You're not supposed to fly your drone at night unless it has lights on the bottom. If it has some type of lights on the bottom, you're able to fly at night, but they do not recommend it at all. If there's any manned aircraft that's flying low, you have to give way to them. So that means move the drone out of the way. So if there's a low-flying helicopter, you need to move the drone out of the way. You're never supposed to fly above people or a moving vehicle without their permission. This is where it gets tricky. They say never fly over any person or moving vehicle, but if you have certain, like say you have a contract with the moving vehicle that they're flying in, or you have contracts with people, then you're able to do that. Never interfere with emergency responses, so whether that be like a fire or disaster relief, you're really not supposed to be flying in those areas. And never fly under, this should be obvious, it's like never fly under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Do not operate your drone in a careless manner, so don't be reckless, that sort of thing. Coming very soon, the FAA is going to require all drone operators to pass an online exam and safety test. This is something new that's coming towards, but it hasn't been finalized. The FAA also requires you to, if you're flying in controlled airspaces, you're supposed to let the air traffic controllers near you. Basically, you're supposed to call the airport. There's some new opportunities for that. You used to have to be able to call every single airport manually and be like, hey, I'm flying here and whatnot. Now there's these new apps that basically, the apps you put in your location, it's going to pop up with the GPS, and then you say how long you're going to fly, like an hour, precise location, distance around you, the radius around you, and the height, and that makes it so much easier so you don't have to basically go out of your way to call every single person. So I think that's about it for the main basic rules. There is tons more rules when it comes to drones, which I highly recommend you go check out because it's pretty lengthy. But that's for something more if you're going to buy your own drone. So let's head out and let's go fly the thing. So now, guys, we're at the track up at Staley High School, my old high school. I just thought this was a good open area to be able to fly the drone and teach you guys just a little bit about flying a drone. So today I'm using the Mavic 2 Pro by DJI. They make a lot of different drone products, or Ronins, you know, you guys use those. So I'll walk through some of the software and then basically just some of the basic flying operations of the Mavic. So some basic things, just to turn on the drone, it's a simple, you gotta click it once and then the lights come on, so then you'll hold it again and then it's gonna turn on. It'll do like a little cooling fan. Try not to have the camera or the drone on the ground when you're doing this, because your camera will hit the ground pretty hard with the gimbal. So then once it's ready to go, so you can set it on the ground. Before we actually take off, we got the phone connected to the controller, but we're going to, the way that connects to the controller is just through your lightning port on the bottom. So that also depends though, some controllers will use Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to connect to the controller. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up this app called AirMap, and what this is gonna do is basically communicate to air traffic controllers around you so they know that you're flying in this certain area. This is a new technology that just came out really recent, and it's amazing because we used to have to call every single airport in the area before then, so now we don't have to do that. So as you can see on this flight plan, I'm in a good zone, there's no zones. I can perfectly legal to fly around here. But if you look to our left, just to show you what it would kind of look like. So to my left on the GPS map, this is KCI International Airport. So basically that is a no-fly zone. You cannot fly within 5 miles of that airport. We are recreational flyer, so we're good. Pick one of those, we'll click next. And then we'll put our altitude, we'll put 400 feet since that's the maximum we can go. We'll do for the next 45 minutes, and it has my name, the Mavic 2 Pro. What is your weight of the drone? I'm actually not too sure of the weight of the drone, honestly. I should probably look that up. But let's just put 2.5 pounds to be safe. Is the flight occurring with visual line of sight? Yes. And does the flight occur over people? No, it's just me and Danny out here. So next. And then it will give you a little weather and then rules you should review. Just little classy airspace, nothing crazy, and rules you are following. So submit flight. After we click submit flight, it says success, your flight plan has been submitted to AirMap. No airspace authorizations have been requested on your behalf. So that means we are success, we are good to fly. Basically what that means is that we don't have to authorize to fly around here because we're not in a controlled airspace. So now we'll click OK. We will go back to our DJI Go 4 app. Now this is the app that you will be flying with the Mavic 2. So we'll turn the controller on here. As you can see, the controller is pretty small, but 2 analog sticks. This button up here is a camera button, a record button, and then basically this button will control your gimbal right here. And then there's a return to home button. I usually don't use that button because it can fly anywhere to return to that certain spot. So we'll go into the app here. Click Go Fly. And now we have the app open. So the first thing we're always going to want to do is we're going to want to calibrate the compass. So the way we do that is, I know it looks silly, you're going to have to rotate your aircraft 360 degrees horizontally and rotate your aircraft 360 degrees vertically, and that's going to calibrate your compass. So now we are ready to fly, we're ready to go. One thing though I always encourage is to double check basically your GPS here up at the top. That will tell you basically if you have good GPS signal. So we'll do that, and then now we have good GPS signal here at the top. We have good controller connection and good HD transmission signal. So we're gonna go ahead and run through a little bit of what the DJI app holds. So without further ado, this is the takeoff button. So now it will basically take off and hover at 4 feet and hover in place until you do anything. This is the return to home button next, right below it. Don't recommend using that just because it will go to a certain altitude and then fly wherever it is till it gets to that exact location that you took off at. Next is intelligent flight modes. There's normal, hyperlapse, quick shot, active track, point of interest, waypoints, tap fly, and cinematic. These things are awesome and will make flying the drone way more fun even. Active track basically will track any object, so if Danny runs down that track, it's going to basically just keep them in focus and in line the whole entire time. This is your GPS map here at the bottom, so you can click on that GPS map, and it's going to look just like maybe your Google, Google Maps or Apple Maps, and it'll show you exactly, once we take off, it will show exactly where your flight plan is going and where it flies around, with like a little line and stuff, but it shows your exact home point, which is right here on that part of the track. So as you can see, like this part of the track here is in this curve, so that will work out really well. So now let's go back into here, and then we'll talk a little bit about camera controls. So camera controls, I'm shooting manual just because it's the best way to shoot with drones. You can also shoot auto, aperture priority, shutter priority, or manual. It is a little dark just because I have an ND filter on there right now, but that's all right, we can fix that. We'll just bump the ISO just a tad, and there we go, that looks much better. So now if you look towards the bottom, we have those normal curves you're used to seeing, so we're almost at that getting a little overexposed, but we'll bring that back down just a little bit. So then if you go back into these settings here, you'll see all those your shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and then settings here up at the top. You can also shoot JPEG, RAWs, and this is where you can do log gimbal and capture, JPEG, RAWs, overexposed. It will show you a little, basically like what's overexposed, a video caption, hyperlapse video frames, grids, center points, anti-flickers, basically anything that you need. This is where also you'll format your SD cards, format your internal storage, and whatnot. So a couple other things about this part of the app is basically this little thing at the top of the left right here, the controller. This is how you control your gimbal to move up and down. So that's how you'll be able to move the gimbal. This little button up here will also control if you want to shoot in log or just regular color that the DJI provides. Next, we'll tap these three dots up here, and basically these are all your controls for it. So if you want to go through some of these, just main controller settings, there's a beginner mode that will basically help you learn it a little bit easier. Enable max distances, obstacle avoidance, that is awesome. So if you accidentally almost run into an obstacle, the sensors will almost automatically avoid the obstacle, which is really nice. I haven't had to use that yet, but maybe in the future. Some other things, just charging modes, custom buttons in the back here. Now here, this is really cool. It will show your battery voltage and your temperature. This is really helpful when you're like shooting if it's really hot outside or if it's really cold, because you gotta watch the battery and make sure you don't ruin the battery with hot temperatures or really cold temperatures. Also critical low battery warning, so you can set that to a certain percentage. And then smart return to home, I would always incredibly leave that on. So if you accidentally, the battery just shoots out or anything, it will automatically return to home at like 5%. Couple other things, gimbal mode, so you can set it in follow or FPV. But let's get into some flying here. So let's go ahead and get the drone up in the air.
Take off. The home point has been updated. Please check it on the...
So a few things. This drone has like 9 to 12 different sensors. I'm not sure exactly. So as I get close, basically the drone is going to yell at me that I'm too close to it. So you hear that on the remote. Basically that I'm too close to it. You can basically make it to where it's going to basically go away from you. So on the controller, basically this left stick, you can customize this to however you want, but this is the way I prefer for it to be controlled. So left stick is up and down, as you can see, and then Left stick is also left. It's going to rotate the drone. And then the right stick is forward, backward, and then left, right. That's the way I prefer it. It works the best way that way. So a few other things. Basically when we're flying the drone, some really cool shots are always just like pushing forward like this. Those will always make some like cool dynamic shots. The key is just to make the most unique shots. So here I'm going up at the same time, going forward and controlling the gimbal at the same time. So that makes it a little bit unique. As you can see, it is quite a bit foggy out here today, so you can't see as much like in the distance. Usually you're able to see like a lot in the distance. So let's use this little pole here as basically as an object. So pretend this is like a big building. So basically, here's a cool shot. So you can go up, and then like move the gimbal at the same time to give it like a little unique little action of the drone. So that's one type of shot. You can always just go for your normal like pushes. These always look really cool. I love this kind of look. So if you just push and fly, go forward super fast, that's always going to look really cool. So there's another push, but with the gimbal moving at the same time. So we actually have a runner on the track here. So we're going to use active track, and active track is really cool. So basically it's going to follow him. So we're going to use active track, trace. I'm going to go over here, basically trace the object out right there. Oh, nope, that didn't work. We're going to trace this object out here. So look, and now it found him. So now you click go, and look, it's just going to instantly follow him, which is like insane. I don't even have to press a button, and it's going to film him. I can control like the speed of it to the right. So now it's going to follow him a little bit faster. That's also a really cool way to be able to track objects or just track anything. So it's even moving the gimbal for me at the same exact time. But yeah, that's how you use active track. Also, if you're like more of an experienced drone flyer, it also makes it a little bit easier to do these type of things. I've now been flying for 3 years now with DJI products, so it's pretty hard at first. It's not something that's easy, so it takes time. I'm also looking at getting into FPV soon, so FPV is absolutely insane, and I'm really excited to try that out. So basically, some other cool shots here is if you can trust yourself with the drone, basically what I'm going to do is get this about like really close to us. Come forward. I'm actually going to get like really close to us and basically so push it forward. And basically it's going to be like, this is how you're going to like reveal the scene. So if you're wanting to reveal the scene, this is the shot right here. So we'll go like this, and that's going to reveal the scene. Really type of cool shot. Basically you're moving up at the same time, moving back, and then also moving the gimbal. That's okay. We'll bring it back down. So a couple other things just to notice. Also in the DJI app, it will show you your distance and your distance away from you, and then also your height from, so we're getting that low battery warning at 25%. So we're gonna bring that sucker down, just so we're safe with the battery. As you can tell, it's gonna yell at me. I'm at 25%, but it's yelling at me that I'm at low battery. So that's good if you're like kind of ways away and need to basically bring it back in. So we will bring it down. And then there's an automatic landing button, so you can click this automatic land button.
Landing.
and then it's going to automatically land for you and you don't have to touch it anymore, which is really nice. That is the basics of flying a drone. There's a lot more into it. So if you guys ever want to come fly with me, feel free. We'll go out for a flight. So I will see you guys next week in maybe another tutorial or just talking to you guys, but we'll see you later.
Get down.